Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here. So surprisingly, at least to me, DICE dropped some new update patch notes on us yesterday for patch 4.2.1. Not a huge update in any sense of the word at all, but I honestly thought that 4.2 would be the last update we see in this season. So it's always nice to see DICE fixing things up where they can and releasing new patches. So we're going to be going over all of that in this video, and then I want to lightly touch on a Battlefield poll that DICE dropped on us as well, since some of the questions there are quite interesting and they could give us a clue as to what sorts of content they plan on beyond Season 5. Before we begin though, as always, if you do enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. Follow me on Twitter, hit up the Discord, and as always, thank you for your support. So DICE put out a poll the other day asking for your feedback. I'll leave a link to it below if you have the time to answer, and in this poll there were some pretty interesting questions to me. So firstly, we had a batch of questions about DICE's interaction with us, asking how we would rate things like the Inside Battlefield podcast, the Dev Note blogs, communication via Twitter, and other things along those lines. And it's honestly nice to see DICE are interested in communicating with us, and I have to say, despite the state of Battlefield 2042 on the whole and the work that's been needed on it, it's been really nice and refreshing to have DICE be so open with us and communicating with us in so many different formats. You know, I really hope that they keep this up going forward into the next game and games to come as well, because communication with your fanbase is absolutely key in building a successful game. I think we've definitely seen that in Battlefield 2042 here. The next set of questions were all about the Leviathan Rising event, the shutdown game mode, the new skins and cosmetics and all of that, which could mean that DICE are gauging public opinion here on a possible future mid-season event, perhaps for Season 5, or they're wanting to work on a new game mode of some sort and they want to see how well received Shutdown was. Now that new game mode could be a permanent game mode for Season 5, or hopefully beyond that, maybe even Season 6. What is your favourite Battlefield 2042 map? Always a classic question that pops up in every single one of these surveys. I answered Hourglass here, obviously, great map. And then finally they had a few questions on UI elements and progression features, meaning they are still looking to improve the quality of life of the game and add features. I think which features they add depends largely on the number of people who speak the loudest in polls just like this one, so please go and make your voices heard, as they do only have, you know, limited development time to throw at this sort of stuff. Now this also gives me a bit of hope that Season 5 won't be the end. It certainly does make me a little nervous to have not heard a full Year 2 confirmed yet. All we know is that Season 5 is coming and nothing beyond that. I know we did have that Origin leak a while ago, like many of you pointed out on one of my previous videos, that had the placeholder text saying Year 2 Battlefield 2042, but that could just be referring to Season 5 for all we know. Alright, so let's move on to the update notes here. Firstly, DICE have resolved an issue where equipping a melee takedown for a 2042 specialist would also equip it for the other specialists of the same class. Not really that newsworthy, I will admit, in itself, but I actually thought that this was intended and made to go alongside the other class changes. After all, if you equip a weapon for, let's say, Liz, it will also equip for Boris and Crawford, and I assume the same applied for melee weapons, but no, apparently this was just a bug and that has now been fixed. Next up, they've resolved an issue that resulted in the camera being pulled down too significantly upon landing while aiming down sights. So here I believe they are referring to the dreaded landing animation. I still don't like it at all. It's very annoying that it even happens to begin with. So when you jump down at an enemy and ADS at the same time, it looks like your soldier stumbling as part of the fall animation is intended, but you aiming 90 degrees straight down at the ground was not intended. I'll try and put a clip of that in the background footage if I find any. I'm not sure I have one, but if you know, you know. It's incredibly infuriating, so I believe that has now been fixed. Air-to-ground missiles will now deal higher damage when fired at a laser-designated target. This has always been the case in Battlefield games, that lock-on weapons like these do higher damage when it's on a laze target, whether that laze be from Rao or from the Soflam or whatever. So good to see that change is here for the Jets. That means they're actually probably going to be able to two-shot a tank with their AGMs. I believe at the moment one of them does 35 damage, so with both of them you're hitting 70 damage. So, you know, maybe if it's a significant increase, you're going to be able to two-shot that vehicle now. And another change that actually goes hand in hand with that one is that Rao's Cyber Warfare suite will now transmit designated lock-on targets to friendly vehicles. Again, I wasn't aware that this wasn't happening. I'm not a massive Rao user, but as most of you will know, Rao's hacking ability was changed with the class update to also laser designate any vehicle he hacked to sort of compensate for the fact that he can't use a launcher anymore and give him a bit more synergy. However, those laser targets were apparently not being transmitted to friendly vehicles anyway, so no wonder whenever I play Rao it feels completely useless. So yeah, that's good to see that fixed. Now the next one is a big one for me. The vehicle cooldown timer on the deploy screen will now count down in real time. This has been driving me absolutely up the wall since Season 4 released. Some of you may have noticed that if you open the vehicle deploy screen, the spawn timer just stops counting down for some of the vehicles. Not all of them, but just some of them. And if that vehicle should spawn when you have that window open, you actually won't see it spawned until you back out of that menu and then enter into it again, which makes spawning into a vehicle practically impossible considering the already low number of them that are available. And the final change here is that explosive damage will now be applied towards transport helicopters alongside the impact damage of the projectile. So with the recent changes to heavy projectile damage to transport helis, like from tanks and such, it looks like the damage we're seeing at the moment actually isn't the full damage we should be getting. So once these changes kick in next Tuesday, which I believe will be the update day as usual, you can expect a bit more damage there on the transport helicopters. So not a massive update here, just bug fixes and small changes, but I wanted to keep you guys informed nevertheless. Thank you guys for spending a bit of time with me as always. Hit like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.